I started my career in the year 2006, and I started with the sales. And I was working in the sales field with this organization called ICICI Prudential. And that was my first campus interview, and I got through. And I genuinely enjoyed being in sales because it kind of helped me understand a lot about the psyche of people and how to kind of get across to them. But then later on, they sent me for a training program, and I think that was kind of a turning point of my life. And wherein I moved into, or I realized that this is where my passion lay, and I moved into training and eventually into HR. I worked with a multitude of organizations in HR and learning and development primarily, and they have been in different industries, starting with banking, insurance. I've been into education. I've been into, retail, and currently I'm with the corporate real estate organization called Tablespace Technologies. A little bit more about me, Maruk. I think I would love to describe myself as an individual who really, really enjoys connecting with people. I love helping them, trying being the best version of themselves. And that's what makes me very passionate about being in HR. I love traveling. I love writing. I'm a professional Odissi dancer. So that's a little bit about me. Now, why I choose this particular field and what it encompasses for me is number one, as I said, the very factor of L&D being focused towards learning and development, right, is something which I genuinely enjoy because I help people acquire new skills, and it's a very fulfilling profession per se. And now with the concept of continuous learning coming into picture and organizations focusing more on it, I think it's interesting how I help people and organizations shape up their entire learning journeys. There's a lot of focus on creativity and innovation in my field, and I think I take that particular opportunity to also ensure that I give my best to any organization that I'm associated with. And I think the role of a L&D professional is also very varied. It's not just training and development for the organization, but it's also about how do you kind of take on the role and responsibility of ensuring that what are the skill gaps and how do you kind of fulfill those skill gaps, which may or may not be through training all the time. So, as L&D professionals or HR leaders, the role is now very diverse and it's changing throughout, and it's actually contributing in a much more bigger manner to the entire organizational perspective. So that's why I enjoy being in HR and L&D. Number one, let's talk about the attrition rates, right? Now, you're absolutely right when you said that attrition is increasing in organizations, but attrition is increasing for employees or workforce which is not ready to reskill themselves, which is not ready to upskill themselves. So, if you look at it, while high attrition rates can be challenging in the shorter run, but high attrition rates actually drive organizations to focus more and more and invest more and more in L&D. Now, when companies face frequent turnover, they recognize that there is an inherent need to upskill and reskill their employees. And that's why which actually leads to an increased investment. And with L&D's and HR's evolving nature of work, the importance of continuous learning has actually gained a lot of importance now. Right now, companies are recognizing the importance of ongoing employee development so that they can stay competitive in the market, so that they can also retain talent as well as attract new talent which is relevant to the particular field. So there has been a very considerable shift towards more strategic and continuous L&D initiatives. Now, coming to the second part of the question, is L&D more into ROI? Has the focus shifted? So yes, return on investment is a solid and a very important critical metric in L&D in the L&D space today. Uh, any organization, when they're investing in money, they're actually seeking for more measurable outcomes for any of their training programs. So when I say ROI is not necessarily in terms of only the monetary benefit, but also in terms of behavioral benefits. So, for example, let's say I invested in a training program as an organization. Has it been impactful in my employees and in ensuring that their behavior has changed, thus aligning them more towards the organizational objectives, or has it been a direct increase in terms of investment or increase in reduction in terms of attrition or so on. So the focus on skill development is actually at an all-time high right now. Much so after COVID and the advent of AI right now, where organizations are now looking for skilled labor. So while attrition is at a high, the investment in L&D space is also at a very, very high space. Interestingly, there has been a lot of movement in co-owned and co-paid learning initiatives also. Earlier, the employees would look only for the employers to invest in their learning, right? But now with upskilling and retention being at an all-time high objective for most organizations, they realize that they have to invest in employee learning, and employees are also very conscious nowadays. Self-development is a very, very critical force in their lives, and that's why co-paid and co-learning initiatives are also at an all-time high. Most organizations also think of co-paid learning initiatives in terms of increasing their DEI, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, so as to bring back more workforce into the more diverse workforce into the domain. So now organizations are also tying up with a lot of educational institutions like IIMs and so on, so that these collaborations can bring about much more fruitful results. Plus, the focus on leadership development is at an all-time high. So there's a lot of focus in terms of co-paid and co-learning initiatives. And since the employees themselves are very much aware about their own self-development, I think as long as it is aligning with the career goals, the organizations are also in support of it. So, I think L&D as a space has really, really grown a lot. And in table space also, we have been implementing some of the very, very, fast, some of the very interesting technologies that L&D has brought forth. Some of the, new initiatives that not only has been implemented in table space, but generally also there is a lot of focus in personalized learning with the way social media is shaping up, with the way people now want to consume content which is interesting, content which is specially tailored towards them. Like people just want to open a learning platform and they want to see what should I learn? What does AI suggest me? Right. So there's a lot of focus on personalized content, which is also micro content. The content should not be, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes content. How short can the content be? How crisp can the content be? So there's a lot of focus on personalized content, micro learning content, and continuous learning. Again, I would like to emphasize on this word continuous learning. With the way our businesses are changing, with the way our industries are changing, I think what is relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow. Hence, there's a lot of focus on how do I acquire new skills, new learning methodologies, right? Uh, there is a lot of focus on social learning also. Earlier, people used to focus only on their learning, but now there's a lot of peer based learning which is also happening. What did my team member come to know, or what did my team member learn which I should also probably implement in my learning, or probably what is someone in another industry or maybe in another organization in my similar domain or my similar level of expertise learning. So there's a lot of peer learning which is also happening, LinkedIn learning, and even the LMSs in organizations kind of facilitate that. Nowadays, organizations are also moving into digital and VR learning. In fact, some organizations where there is a lot of focus on experiential learning, they are investing heavily into VR, right? Blended learning is definitely the way to go ahead after that. After COVID, I think that's one thing we all have come, in common conclusion with. While organizations do focus on online learning, but employees also want that human touch element. So there's a lot of focus on blended learning. Plus, L&D teams now are now starting to look towards data analytics as to what more should we implement, what next. So the focus on data analytics is also at an all-time high, and learning is very agile. What is relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow. So there's agile learning, and organizations are now focusing towards a very employee focused approach. It's not only what I want to impart as an organization, and that's why the focus on leadership development is actually at an all time high. Now, if you look at it, about 8 or 10 years ago, the basic age or the basic age group at what leadership training was imparted at was at probably a 42 to 45 years of age, right? That was where first time managers training was imparted. But right now, the leadership training development starts for someone as early as in their 30s, early 30s. So that should tell you how focused the organizations are also in terms of ensuring that leadership development and employee centric approach is going forward. So, one of the first advice that I would like to give anyone moving into a people management or a team management role is the name itself tells it. It's people, right? And people are not robots. So, lot of team managers or people managers, when they first move into the role, they realize that, hey, I'm someone who's very good at my job. Now, while you are very good at your job, but this particular new role will only be, doing justice, or you'll be doing justice to this role when you focus on relationships and rather than just processes. So the focus on relationship should be at an all-time high. Communication is the key. The more and more you communicate, there can never be a situation where you over communicate. So the more you communicate, the easier it is for your team to know what you want. And every individual is different. How you would like to work with a certain person may not be the same way that you would like to work with someone else. So understand individual strengths and how you want to work with them. Set very clear expectations as to how you want them to work ahead. Uh, Lead by example. I think this is something that I consciously do. Especially if I have not done it, how do I ask my team to work on it, right? And feedback is something which will really help you go a long way as a team manager or a people manager. Share that regular feedback. And one last piece of advice that I would like to share before I kind of move on to the next part is that you know we all want people who are yes people in the team, but you will always have people who are saying yes to you, but do encourage people to also say no, because that's when you realize that how your team with their diverse thought processes can grow. And it will help you grow as a leader, it will help you grow as an individual also. So handle that conflict in your team in a very constructive manner. Now, coming to the next part of the question, that what was the advice that I was given? The advice that I was given was the same: prioritize people, not processes. The moment you look at people as individuals and not just as cogs in a machinery, I think that's when your people want to work with you and want to work with you, right, for a very, very long time. So that's all from my side.